Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
If you were forced to give up an item, let's just say OV scores his, what's the record for goals? 871. Say, I think it is, Wayne's. Say he scores 872 and against the opposition, and let's say Shesterkin, let's say it's in New York, and he fires the puck into the crowd, the goalie for the Rangers, and you catch it. And then the Capitals come over to you and tap on the glass. Can we get that puck? It's Ovi's. It's the record-breaking goal. A, you don't want to give it to him, but B, you know you should. What would be an appropriate...
But C, that's $1 million puck in your hand.
They say the football's $500,000.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
So the puck would be... This didn't break a record. The puck would be right there.
No, what would you want?
$500,000.
You scumbag!
How about that?
That'd be the coolest thing to have the record-breaking puck. But you know what?
Oh, it's $894. Sorry. So if it's $895, you catch the puck for $895. Because what Tom said was, we'll get him a helmet, maybe a couple jerseys or something. I'm not quite like you.
Yeah.
Not a complete pimp like you. I would say, I want the helmet. I want the jerseys. I want season tickets. I want lunch with you at the Golden Corral tomorrow, Tom. And let me think about it a little longer, and then I'll get back to you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Ryan McCarthy, watching in upstate New York, says, why does Saskatchewan have the best town names? Paradise Hill, Moose Jaw. Well, he says Flin Flon, and that's actually Manitoba. And frankly, I'm partial to Medicine Hat.
How about that?
I also learn something every day. We learned today that Flin Flon, Manitoba stands for Flint to Betty Floniton, a fictional character from a 1905 novel.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. You're not going to believe what I'm doing. Just hang on. I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you in a second. As you know, it's a Football Friday. That's the most important thing. I'm coming at you live from the South Florida studio where we got a very big sports weekend here. The Seattle Kraken are in town on Saturday night to take the Florida Panthers on. And then it's the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. So that is a fantastic sports weekend. Got some college football tonight. I'm here. Moose is joining us from the Queen City, Canada's football capital, where he's in town to call some Canadian university football. Hi, Moose. I'll get to you in just a sec. I want to tell everybody that coming up on today's program on this Football Friday, although we will have a lot of hockey talk, trust me, and a little World Series coming up in the Quick Six. Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN will be with us, and Daniela Ponticelli of Saskatchewan Roughriders radio broadcast, Regina Pat's television broadcast, but not for long. Big life update for Daniela coming up, a barrier-breaking broadcaster in Canada. She'll be with us in hour 2. How are you, Moose? What's going on? Let it fly.
I'm great. It's awesome. I love coming back for these football games no matter where we go to do them, but I could do with a little less snow, but everybody's been filling my social media timelines with the snow, so I came here to experience it, and you know what? I've done this for, 35 years. I'm not afraid of the snow. I didn't get soft overnight. It's okay.
Well, I am soft. I got old, and I miss my friends in Canada, particularly the prairies, but I do not miss the cold. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please, Director Jordan, so you're not sitting there waiting while I go through the preamble? So listen, as you saw when we came on the air, and before I get to the Quick Six show topics, I was texting a friend of mine, Gabe. He's in my club, and so last night we met. There's a lot of things here. We're going to open up with Thursday Night Football last night, and the Bills holding on to beat Tampa Bay 24-18. So last night the club met. I don't know where to start, but they're all very supportive guys, Moose, and I hope the next time you come to South Florida, you'll get to meet some of them. But they all were very excited about the RP show. They were excited about the Cats and Bolts podcast. And Gabe was like, I want to listen, man. I want to listen while I'm at work tomorrow. So I sent him the link here on WQEE Radio, Atlanta Radio, your southern home of sports and talk, where we are Atlanta's NHL show. I sent him that link, so there's that. Mind jumping all over the place. Remind me, I'll come back on the point spread of last night's game. But the boys are back in town. I told you that my guys were coming down, all those rich guys. They're all meeting here in South Florida this weekend, and I'm going to be hanging out with them this weekend, sitting in a suite. It all ties in together. Okay, the Patriots and the Dolphins on Sunday. They said, we have a ticket for you. It's 50% off. We're going to be in a suite. $469 you have to pay for it. And I'm like, well, I got to go. It's not very often you get offered an opportunity to sit in a suite at an NFL game. And with these rich guys, I don't know why, but they make me pay my own way, which I can do. I'm not above or below doing. I can pay my own way. I can do it for one weekend. I can't do it every weekend with these guys, you know. So the reason I talk about that club that we meet every Thursday night, well, we're meeting 15 minutes earlier at this sports bar because it's half-price appetizers from 3 till 6. And I'm like, guys, why meet at 6? If we can meet at 5:45, we'll get 50% off. So it's become this big joke. And I have a nickname now, Moose. My nickname, for the first time in my life, I have a nickname. It's Canada. I don't know how you feel about that, but they go, hey, Canada. So they're like, hey, Canada, you won't pay $16 for a plate of nachos. You got to have 50% off, but you'll pay $469 for a Dolphins ticket? And I said, no, that's how I can afford to pay for the Dolphins ticket, is because I come for half-price nachos. So, yeah, that's what's happening this weekend. So we'll jump into this, and this is where you come in. I want your take and the audience as well. Josh Allen threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for another touchdown in Buffalo's 24-18 win over Tampa Bay in the NFL Thursday Nighter. Allen appeared to aggravate an injury to his throwing shoulder in the second quarter, but stayed in the game. Gabriel Davis had a career-best 9 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown for the Bills. Reason I bring that up, I understand the betting game. I haven't been in sports my whole life, in sports media, not understood sports betting. I don't really do it. But here was the talk last night around the table, and I want your take. My guy Dylan, he was like, hey, guys, the spread's tonight 8.5 for Thursday Night Football. You taking that? And Gabe pipes up, no, it's 10.5. I was listening on the way here. So it was up to 10.5 last night, and that was the question. Are you going to take the Buccaneers to beat the spread or the Bills to cover? So it wasn't about who was going to win or not. But it kind of makes you hang in to the very end, Aaron, just to see whether they're going to beat that 10.5 spread or not, which they did. And that's the hook of football that, frankly, hockey I don't think has. Baseball, I'm not sure because I don't follow it enough. That's just another wonderful thing that football has about it.
It is. It's a big hook for football. Let's go back. I love the nickname Canada. I think that's great. I hope it sticks down there. It's
I've been
good.
called worse.
Doesn't work.
Called worse.
Yeah. Doesn't work as well up here, but when you're down there, Canada's great. Now, to the Thursday Nighter, yeah, that's what's interesting about U.S. football. And different places will have different lines, and it'll change throughout the week. So if you got it in a 10.5, great. If you got it in an 8.5, they still covered that. So, but it shows you the difference. We love Baker. This is nothing against Baker, but it shows you that Josh Allen's on another level. Even though it wasn't the cleanest game by the Bills, they still do some really puzzling things and had an opportunity to put this game maybe further away. But the Bills needed that one to get back on track. And so we'll see where they go from here.
Well, the Bucs needed one, too, because they've now lost 3 in a row. But anyways, it brings up our poll question for Key Auto Group. And at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Producer Clark came up with these, and I'm in agreement with them. Your options for what's America's Game of the Week in the National Football League. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh, the Los Angeles Rams at Dallas, Cleveland at Seattle, or the Cincinnati Bengals at San Francisco. And very early on, leading the poll is Bengals at 49ers. I'm sure you could find reasons why any game would be Darren's Tennessee Titans are in action this weekend. What do you got, Moose? You got the Falcons there, the Dirty Birds, so you'll have your reasons for voting for that. But listen, we're going to move on. We'll come back on this in hour 2. I hope you're listening, Gabe, because I sent him the link from my club. He's a real cool guy, Darren. But I wouldn't be a part of a club of losers, obviously. Point 2, baseball fans are counting down the hours. The World Series is set to begin at Globe Life Field in Texas with an 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time first pitch. Tonight, the Rangers will host the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 1. Former U.S. President George W. Bush will throw out the ceremonial first pitch. It's all the pomp, it's the pageantry, and I will be home watching it because I'll be out of the house the next 2 nights, so I'm excited for it. I was a little surprised that over 60% of poll respondents yesterday in our poll said they're not into this World Series. But they can be them. They have the right to do that. I was a little surprised. The majority of people said, no, they're not into it. How about you?
Yeah, especially after we did such a great job of hyping it up. I thought more people would be into it. But you know what? I think as it goes on, they will. It's tough because everybody wants your attention. Every other league, the NHL does, and the NFL, and college football. And let's not forget about the CFL. I mean, they're going into a weekend this weekend. It doesn't mean much, but next weekend, things get going for real. So let's hope it's going to be good. I think the play will be good, and I think as we go through, more and more people will be paying attention.
By the way, got a text message here from Joe Lazito from the Coliseum Chronicles podcast, where he covers the New York Islanders. He's the biggest Bills fan I know. He says, Roddy, just catching up on Thursday's show, I would not have taken the deal regarding Buffalo, that point spread. Figured they'd win, didn't think they'd cover. And he said, love the Nolan interview. Ted Nolan, great job. So happy he coached here. Love that guy. We're getting a lot of plaudits for the interview with Ted Nolan, the former Buffalo Sabres coach and NHL Coach of the Year. What can I say? Just go back and watch it from yesterday or on our social media. There's clips from it. Great guy, and I just was so thrilled and honored to be able to finally conduct that interview. How about this? Point 3, the Ottawa Senators say defenseman Eric Brandstrom's being evaluated in hospital after taking a check along the boards in a 3-2 loss to the New York Islanders. He was taken off the ice on a stretcher. These are just the leftovers from Thursday night. A tough night for the Alberta NHL teams. The Oilers and Flames both lost on home ice. The Rangers beat Edmonton 3-0, with Jonathan Quick getting the shutout. The Oilers were booed off the ice, and the only reason I know that was I heard Tom Gazzola talking about it this morning on NHL radio. In Calgary, Blues netminder Joel Hofer picked up the shutout in a 3-0 win over the Flames, the former Swift Current Broncos goaltender. Were the Flames booed off the ice? I assume they were. I just haven't heard one way or the other. John Tavares has points in all 7 Leafs games this season. He had an empty netter last night to hit 7 games in Toronto's 4-1 win at Dallas. Cole Caulfield scored the overtime winner in Montreal's 4-3 win over Columbus. And Winnipeg beat Detroit at 4-1. Jonas Johansson posted the shutout as Tampa blanked San Jose 6-0. I feel like every game had something interesting in it. Ebbs scored the winner in overtime for Seattle. They won at Carolina. Pittsburgh, in what I voted the game of the night, blanked the Colorado Avalanche 4-0. Apparently Nathan McKinnon, from what I heard, was very upset, was visibly upset with the play of the Avalanche in the game as they suffered their first loss. So it was quite a Thursday night of hockey. What did you see?
Yeah, and Boston too, right? Gave up 2 goals in the final minute.
Lost to Anaheim in overtime. Yes.
In overtime, yeah. So, I mean, Boston lost their first game. Colorado lost their first game. So Vegas, the only undefeated team left standing. And I know we batted this around in one of our pre-show meetings that came up was, you know, of those undefeated teams, who's the best? I think by default, Vegas is the only undefeated team left standing. Maybe they get that crown, at least for now. But it's good to, it was a good night of hockey last night and good to catch up on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your leftovers. We're not going to go too far into this on a football Friday, but our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Common Crown Brewing, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. I see Jason and Red Deer chiming in, saying he's all excited for, what did you call it, the winter Krapik? Oilers and Flames limping into the game. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, yes, the Flames were booed too. So, hey, you pay a lot of money. This is the one thing I got to say. You're going to ask the fans to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for tickets. They have a right to be upset when the team sucks. So I'm not saying they're wrong in being upset in any league. What did I just tell you? I'm paying a lot of money to go watch the Dolphins on Sunday against the Patriots. And you won't see me booing, but that's just me. Maybe you will, because I don't like Belichick. As you know, Moose, I'm going to be in the same stadium. Maybe I'll yell something to Belichick. I don't know. Maybe I'll do an Instagram Live and people have to check in. What?
I thought you were going to say, Moose, I'm going to the game with Bill Belichick. Did you know? Going to the game with Bill Belichick.
No. I'm going to the game with Marino.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Each
Not
weekend's
Garrett
different.
Marino.
Yeah.
Dan Marino. Yeah, I'm going to the Dolphins game with Dan Marino. He's going to be down on the sidelines, and I'm going to be up in the suites, but still. Point 4, CFL Week 21. Don't say it's a meaningless game tonight in Calgary. If you go to rodpeterson.com right now, you'll read the top article previewing the Blue Bombers at the Stampeders. And there's reasons to go to the game or at least be watching tonight on TSN. Standings-wise, it's meaningless. And then Saturday, Hamilton at Montreal, Toronto at Ottawa. They don't mean a lot standings-wise. But tonight, Brady Oliveira, star Blue Bomber running back, their MVP, is poised to crash 2,000 yards, combined yards. So that's exciting. I see your guy Dunk is going all fanboy, fangirl on mad that Caleros, the quarterback for Winnipeg, has been voted the MVP. Like Justin, grow up, guy. This isn't grade 7. It's why we have a democracy. Like Dunk is unreasonably upset that Zach Caleros wasn't named the Blue Bombers MVP, denying him the chance to win 3 straight MVP awards like Doug Flutie did in the 90s. You see it for what I see it. Like, I get that I've had friends that get shafted. I don't put my balls on the line for them. What do you think about, you're obviously following this situation.
Of course, and I look back, I sit back and am just entertained by it all. But I've seen a couple other people, ask what the voters are doing in Winnipeg, because we thought all year the kind of MVP race or the MOP race was between Vernon Adams and Zach Caleros. And let's not forget about Chad Kelly, what he did and what he's done in Toronto, but at least in the West. But, I listened to some of the clips, too, and J.C. Abbott over there at 3 down, he made a good point. Like, it's most outstanding player, not necessarily the most valuable. If it was the most valuable player, a quarterback would always win it. It's the most outstanding player, and what have we seen consistently throughout the year? People talking about how great Brady Oliveira is. Let's not take anything away from him. He's had a great year.
There you go. Well, listen, it's called a democracy and a vote, Justin. So I don't agree with every vote either, nor does Donald J. Trump. But you got to go along with it. That's our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. Point 5, and this will make it quick. The NHL coming down hard on Ottawa Senators forward Shane Pinto. He's been suspended 41 games for activities related to sports wagering. The league says its investigation found no evidence that Pinto actually made wagers on NHL games. He's a restricted free agent who scored 20 goals last season. We didn't have time to get into it here. We might get into it later in hour 2. This is a very touchy subject. I see that. Sports betting is basically floating sports right now. That's where they're making all the millionaires into billionaires. So, yeah, they want to welcome gambling in, but you don't want to let your players do it. Did he break a league rule or guideline? Clearly he did. That's why he's been suspended for 41 games. I'm not necessarily on the NHL side here, but they wouldn't screw this up. From what I understand, this was a months-long investigation. This was not an accident. They were investigating Pinto before the Senators even knew it, and damn sure before Pinto even knew it. Yeah, we'll talk about it more. I'm sure you have some thoughts on that. But the NHL ain't perfect either. First, you could have pride tape. Then you couldn't have pride tape. Now you can have pride tape. Like, it's not like the NHL knows what they're doing. Okay? Very clearly off the ice either. So you can sit and stomp your feet and be upset. But if he broke a rule, he broke a rule. If they're making an example of him, that happens too. So I don't expect this to be reversed. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet. See you then.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker joins us next on a Football Friday. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Jim Barker's segment on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The RP Show continues with a Football Friday here on Game Plus and WQEE Radio. I will remind you the text line's open, 902-518-3033. If you have any questions or comments as we go along, we've got a lot coming in pertaining some of our hockey topics and interviews that we've done. So we'll get to those later after Jim Barker. Let's bring Jim in. Kirk writing in. He's watching on Game Plus right now. Kirk says, no better time than on a Football Friday on the RP Show to announce that the Argos have sold 20,000 seats for the Eastern Final Upper Deck. East Side's only remaining. How about that? Thank you, Kirk, for pointing that out. And Jim, happy Football Friday, sir. How is things with you today?
Things are fantastic. Last weekend of the season, and going to make the best of, three kind of interesting games. I think all three of them have interesting things, even though they don't have any, nothing to do with the standings. But they all have interesting little side things.
Well, I want to ask you what they are. These games need a salesman, a pitch man like you. I started digging into them, and I'm like, yeah, there are some kernels of interesting, records to be made, totals, that kind of thing. What's got you interested for Friday night football, specifically Winnipeg at Calgary tonight?
Yeah, now that's the least interesting to me. But I think Calgary's still trying to prove to themselves. For Calgary to make it to the Grey Cup, they have to be physical. That's how they beat BC last week. And I've said all year, BC's problem is playing physical football team. And I think that Calgary can send a message to Winnipeg, even though it's their backups, but send a message that they are a very physical football team. And that's what they have to do. If they want to make it to the Grey Cup, if they want to win the Grey Cup, they have to prove not only to the other team, but to themselves that they are physical enough to do it. And last week against BC, I thought that was exactly what they only threw for 120 yards. I mean, it was not a thing of, big play. It was a thing of they went out and physically beat the hell out of BC. And for BC, I think that's going to be concerning. If they could do the same kind of thing to Winnipeg, that could help them if they get by the BC game and going into Winnipeg. So, that's what's intriguing about that game. But of the three games, that's the least intriguing of all three. Because that's the one
I want to come back. Yeah, I get it. Well, that's a good thing then. Tell me about the other ones, and then I'll come back to the Calgary-Montreal game. And those are, by the way, Saturday doubleheader, Hamilton at Montreal, Toronto at Ottawa.
Well, Hamilton-Montreal, to me, is very interesting because Hamilton is, again, their quarterback's only been back for 2 weeks. They're getting ready to play. They're going to play Hamilton or Montreal. And everybody says, well, you don't want to show them anything. See, I think coaches think the opposite of that. I don't think it's about not showing them anything. I think it's about showing them so much that they don't know what to prepare for. And I think you're going to see a lot of double tight sets. You're going to see a lot of tight end wing sets, a lot of 3 receiver bunch sets tight, where defenses have to bring their secondaries up and use them in the run game. And how are they going to do that? And give them those kinds of things to think about going into next week's game that means something. So again, I don't buy the thing of they're just going to be vanilla and go out. And this is not a preseason game. This is a game where they're trying to get some answers to prepare their game plan. And there's so many times when you're putting a game plan together that you say, I wonder what they would do if we lined up in a trips bunch set with a tight end. What are they going to do to that? How are they going to roll the halfback over to the 3 receiver side and just leave that corner? Well, you can find that out. So those kind of questions that they're looking at, they can get the answers to. I just find that to be a fascinating game because Hamilton is still finding themselves. They've only had Bo Levi back for 2 weeks and Schultz, and how they're going to do that and the kinds of things they want to do. I'm not sure that Milanovic even knows, what are they capable completely of. So to me, that game is very interesting. I think Montreal will play very close to the vest in terms of they're not going to. Cody will probably play a quarter, but I don't think they're not as dire a situation as I believe Hamilton. Hamilton just needs to find some things out because they haven't had their team together. And then the second game, the Toronto game, that's obvious. I mean, Cameron Dukes is probably going to play. And you want to put a kid in a pressure situation, say, listen, this team has a chance to do something no team in the 140 whatever year history has ever done. Win 16 games and win a Grey Cup. That's never happened. Now, you can do that. You go out and win this game, you can make that happen. We know with Chad Kelly playing, every game he played over 13 snaps. So one game they lost, he played 13 snaps, had thrown for 100 yards and a touchdown in that game they lost to Calgary. Every other game Chad Kelly played, they were 15-0. So that they're not worried about Chad Kelly. But now Cameron Dukes gets a chance in a big game. It's one thing to go in and play in a meaningless game that didn't, like Chad did last year against Montreal. He played in a meaningless game, and again, he played well, but it didn't mean something like this one does. And believe me, Ottawa knows what's at stake for Toronto, and a chance to do something that has never been done. That's exciting. I mean, how can you not be excited about watching that?
Well, there you go. I agree. I'm absolutely with you on that, and I hope that all of Canada is too, and CFL fans here in the States, which, by the way, I'm a little disappointed with the college football kickoff. You're probably aware of this. CBS Sports Network isn't showing as many CFL games because they're showing all college.
Right.
But that's fine because CFL Plus has been absolutely fantastic, working just tickety-boo. I don't know where to start or go next other than MVP. Is it Chad Kelly slam dunk, Argos quarterback, versus Brady Oliveira in the West, or who do you see being the finalists for MVP?
Well, it's those two, and in my mind, it's a slam dunk. Any guy who comes in his first year, takes a team that was 11-7 in the previous year, and they go 15-0. What makes a player outstanding? What makes him outstanding is making the players around him outstanding. And in my mind, there's nothing about Chad Kelly that hasn't been outstanding. He's taken very, very few sacks. Again, first-year players, that doesn't happen. He, like, by a long way, I think over 15 sacks less than anybody else. They lead the league in turnovers by, I think their ratio is, I think they're at 23 or 24 turnover, plus 23, 24. I mean, those are the things that win games. So to me, it's a slam dunk for MOP. I think Brady Oliveira's had a historic year. It's fantastic for him. The year John Cornish won the rushing title, he won the MVP or the MOP or whatever they call it. Would he have done that without Zach Collaros there? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to know because Zach puts so much pressure on linebackers. And, would Zach have had the year he had without Brady Oliveira? Very good possibility. So again, I think that's a debate, the Zach Collaros and Brady Oliveira. The fact Brady has it, I think he's very deserving. Again, I think he's going to get a lot of play, especially in the West, because that's a tough one. And because Chad Kelly is Chad Kelly, I think that there's I'm not going to. I mean, I just think it's tough. It's been tougher for him to get the kind of credit he deserves for what he's done. So in terms of MOP,
Why?
I think that's
why.
I don't know. I think people look at a guy like Chad, who comes from the NFL, who's 30 years old and has had problems, and I don't know what it is. It's just, it's something that I feel, and it's nothing that anybody has said to me.
Yeah, no.
It's just,
you're right.
It's just something that I feel that there's a bit of a bias about him, and whatever that is, that's, and people they're going to think what they want to think. But to me, you can't. There's no substitute for 15-0 in games you played 13 snaps or more. There's nothing. You can't compare anything to that. You can't compare leading the league in rushing to 15-0 as a starting quarterback who plays in 13. I have to say that because of that one game. So again, that's kind of my feeling on it. And
listen, we got to move on.
Yeah.
That's right. So we covered that. And I love a comeback story. I'm pulling for Chad Kelly. I know exactly what you're saying, and I hope he wins the MVP. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, speak for yourself, Jim. Tonight has tons of intrigue for Stamp fans. I know what you're saying. We got a lot of Stamps fans come here for Stamps talk. Jayla in Calgary says it's a hard road ahead for the Stamps. Jayla says, my money is on Montreal. Janelle says, in other words, Chad Kelly's presence isn't that vital for the Argos. That's what she heard. I don't think that's what you said. I know you look as confused as I do.
How could that have come through?
Yeah, I don't have any idea, but let's not debate it because we'll be here all day. We only got about 4 to 5 minutes left. It's extremely vital for the Toronto Argonauts is what Jim's saying, and I think we all agree. And, hey, the Rough Riders are the Dallas Cowboys of the CFL. There's no doubt. It's what moves the needle. You know it. So your thoughts on Craig Dickinson out, Jeremy O'Day staying and the people above him, and where the Rough Riders go, and maybe who you would hire if you were them for the next head coach?
Well, obviously, it was not surprising about Craig. I said on your show last week, he almost has talked like he's expecting it. And so that was not shocking. I wouldn't say I was shocked to see Jeremy back. I think that they're looking at it as this gives them a chance to get a bit of a head start. If they were to let go of Jeremy also, that whole process takes time. And then this gives them the chance to go out and get the best head coach. Now, what kind of contract Jeremy has is for a new head coach coming in. Those kinds of things will be important. But when guys are head coach, and I know it was this way with me when I went and replaced Wally Buono, you don't think about the negative. You don't think about, wow, well, if he's gone, I could be gone. And you think, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do my thing. You have an ego. You know that's the thing. Now, you're not going to go into a bad situation. But I don't think Jeremy O'Day's been a bad GM. I think, that they've got some things they need to address. I think they need a strong personality there. Don't think that Saskatchewan is a place for a first-time head coach for a young guy. I mean, there's some great young guys: Ryan Phillips, Jordan Maksimic, Corey. There's a lot of young guys that are fantastic. I don't think that's the right situation for them. I think they need to get someone who's a bit established, who can kind of take control of it and let that team know there's a new sheriff in town, and this is the way we're going to be doing things. Personally, I think the best guy they can get is Scott Milanovich. I think he's done it before. Again, he's worked for me, so I know him very, very well. But he's very much an alpha coach. He's gonna have his way of doing things. I think he would work very well with Jeremy because he's the kind of guy that, I never gave him anything he didn't want. He didn't need to have the final say on things. But I think he has some very strong opinions on what he wants. And that's kind of the GM job, is to try to help him get what he wants. And, I think the time in the NFL helped him. I think he's come back even a more mature coach. So that's who I would lean toward is Scott Milanovich. Again, I have familiarity with him, and I know the kind of presence that he has in a locker room. And a lot of the problems they had might not be problems with a coach who, we sent three starting wide receivers out 1 week, because they were late to practice. There had been a few problems, and we sent them all out in 1 week. When you have that, kind of what the Don Matthews magic was with Don, he didn't care who you were. If you didn't want to do things the way they had to be done between the lines, he was going to get rid of your ass. And that was just the way it was. And everybody knew it. It didn't matter if you were Rob Waldrop or Reggie Givens or his favorite guys. It didn't matter. If you did something that was not beneficial to the football team, you were going to go. Well, Scott Milanovich has a lot of that in him. And when we made the move from Corey Boyd to Chad Cackert, that was not an easy move to make. But again, he stood on the table, said, this guy's going to be better for us than Corey Boyd. And he was absolutely right. Gave us a different type of player there. And Corey Boyd was successful with the things I was doing as the coach, which was trying to eat the clock up and run the ball and things. But we were more spread and did more things with Scott. So, I think he's the right guy for that job. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for it. I think that there's a lot of people that want it. It's an exciting job. I mean, you're going to a place where people really care about football. So, I think you're going to see people you might see Mark Trestman go after that job. I've heard he wants to get back into coaching. I think he's a guy that they would talk to. There's going to be people all over that Corey Mace is going to be a candidate. He would be a first-time coach. Is that what you want? I don't know in that situation. I think Corey's a bright young guy, and players love playing for him.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
Did that knock mean?
Wrap it up. Yeah, we're late for a break. That's what the knock means. Jim, thanks for I don't know what they use at TSN. That's what we use here. Thank you for this, man. Enjoy the football. We'll chat you on the eve of the playoffs.
It sounds great. All right. Thanks, Roddy.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. We'll be right back with a sports update and audience takeover on the way. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hello, everybody. Haven't really looked at the comments. I probably should. We got some good ones have come in on the text line, 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing presents the Jim Barker interview weekly. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. They provide the perfect keynote speaker for your events, including Jim Barker, including yours truly. There are a few here, really good ones, and I appreciate all these new viewers. I find it quite interesting. Now that we're on Shaw, Channel 230, Shaw Rogers Cable, 1.4 million new homes just in Western Canada alone. Here's one's coming from Burlington, Ontario. Jim Scott writes in, he says, regarding yesterday's interview, he says, Ted Nolan, moving interview. Really brought out some emotion for me. Looking forward to his book. And he says, Colin Kaepernick, Ted Nolan. Yeah. And I feel like I don't want to debate that one on my own. I want to bring Moose back in here in hour 2, and we'll talk about that a little more. Yeah, Jim, thanks for that, because Ted Nolan, here's my view. We can only give our own personal perspective, right? I was saying yesterday on the show with Darren after the Ted Nolan interview that when I was coming up as a hockey announcer in junior hockey in the early 90s, into the mid-90s, 2000s, Ted Nolan was the in thing, the next big thing. You know, won a Memorial Cup with the Sioux, but played in the Dub, played in the OHL, played in the NHL, won Memorial Cups in the OHL, and then into the NHL. We knew the players all loved him, and then something happened. He wins the head coach of the year award in 1997 with the Buffalo Sabres, and then doesn't coach again for the next decade. And to be honest, if you read Matthew Barnaby's book, Unfiltered, you got to read it, man. I've got to be such close friends with Barney over the past few years. I'm glad that I have. Even in the book, he's like, I don't know what happened. Barnaby, because we all loved him. But from what it all seems like, and Ted, classy guy, obviously, didn't really get into it yesterday other than to say it was unspeakable and horrible what happened. But it looked like he clashed with John Muckler. I guarantee somebody knows, but nobody's really saying. Clash, was it John Muckler or was it Lindy Ruff? I don't want to get the wrong guy. This was 25 years ago, 25, 26 years ago. But Ted said he became the subject of a smear campaign. Some malicious, ugly rumors got put out there. And it was the end of his career, really, for a long time. He got back into the NHL over a decade later. Now, with Colin Kaepernick, now he's blackballed too. Ted Nolan was blackballed, but for different reasons. Colin Kaepernick was, but for different reasons too. We all know why with Kaepernick. We all know why. And I don't really even want to go down that road too badly because it's in the past. He's not coming back. And I really wonder if Colin Kaepernick, if he had to do it all over again, would take a knee again. Maybe he would. I don't know the guy. I know guys that have played with him. They like him. But that's a different matter. He took a knee for all the world to see. And I can tell you that it really upset the law enforcement community because I talked to them personally, and they wouldn't go on record and say anything about it. They didn't want to. They were just offended by it because it caused problems for them. And not to mention how much it hurt the brand of the National Football League. My guess was it was an ugly time that's behind us now. You know, and Colin Kaepernick went on to get his endorsement deal with Nike and made millions of dollars off of it. So it's not like Colin Kaepernick's looking for his next meal. I see the Nolan-Kaepernick situations as different, even though the end result is the same. They both got blackballed. The prime years of their career taken away because it didn't go with the flow of the sport. Interesting, and it's funny how this stuff does not go away. Jim Sjogren is watching in Osoyoos, BC on Game Plus TV, and he writes in and says, looks like the best hockey team in Alberta resides in Lethbridge. Well, maybe. I haven't checked the Dub Central Division standings, the WHL, for a while. Last I did, I saw Lethbridge was 3-0 under Bill Peters. They lost to go to 3-1, and I've lost track with them since. But what did I say when they hired Bill Peters? I don't even like Bill Peters, the head coach of the Hurricanes, but I will admit he's a hell of a hockey coach. I don't know what it is. I've never worked on a team with him. I've never been in the dressing room with him. I've never even interviewed the guy, I don't think. But he wins. And that's what's happening in Lethbridge. And he got forced to resign in Calgary. I'll tell you what, I wonder where the Flames...
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So sorry about that. What was the last thing you heard? I know it was about Bill Peters. Jason in Red Deer writes in and says, has Rod been blackballed for talking about Bill Peters? Mike Wynn in Winnipeg writes in and says, how about them Jets? How about them this week? Although Mike Wynn is always on the Jets bandwagon, but I'm not sure there's a bigger toilet seat fan base of the Winnipeg Jets. Up and down, my God. It's dizzying. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, Rod, would the RP show ever consider showing the audience the text messages? I would say, why? Who cares? Just trust me as I read them to you. I don't see a need for that. Let me jump in with a sports update, then we'll come back to the audience question. Sports update, the World Series is set to begin tonight with the Texas Rangers hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both sides are coming off 7-game victories in their respective league championship series. Texas defeated defending champion Houston after being down 3-2 in the ALCS. Arizona did the same against 2022 runner-up Philadelphia in the National League Final. 8:05 first pitch tonight, Arizona at Texas, and I will be watching. The Toronto Raptors are back at it tonight. They pay a visit to Chicago, taking on DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls. Toronto coming off a season-opening win over the Minnesota Timberwolves on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Chicago is entering the contest after a 20-point loss to Canadian star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The sports update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, the official beer of the RP show. And they are the high-quality beer. behind great conversation and unforgettable memories, visit commoncrown.ca. You know, you're finding it now. The CFL, it'll pick up next weekend when we get ready for the playoffs. But this weekend, it's a tough sell, getting people interested in what are really meaningless games for the most part. You got to really be into CFL football to be watching these games. Because here's what's happening tonight. When people say this is the best time of year, I'm not going to argue with you. Probably for you it is. For me, it's too much. I have a tough time keeping my mind on multiple things. For instance, our poll question today, what's the game of the week in the NFL, America's game of the week? I'll give you a minute, Clark, to look up what's the latest on that. It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. Last we saw, it was Bengals 49ers, and I'm not, I guess, two good teams there. You can always find a reason for every game. What are they saying? Yeah, they're still saying, thank you, still saying Bengals 49ers, but it's for your own reasons. For me, it's very clearly Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to boo, and I'm going to go. I initially said I wouldn't boo Bill Belichick, but I'm starting to think that I will. For the amount of money I'm paying for my ticket, I think I can do whatever the hell I want. That's how you feel, right, fans? But I'm getting sidetracked. Game of the week is that. That's our daily poll question. If you go to our Instagram, which thousands of you do daily, at The Rod Pedersen Show on Instagram, we got a poll up there. What's the game of the night in the National Hockey League? There are 6 games, and for me, it's Chicago at Vegas. And as a matter of fact, that's a day game. What the heck did I see they're starting that game at? Is it 4 Eastern, which would make it 1 o'clock out there? 6 Eastern, so 3 o'clock in Vegas. It's an afternoon game. They do it once a year, I guess, and it's Connor Bedard, who's barely out of high school. Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks at Vegas. That's my game of the night. San Jose at Carolina, Buffalo, Sabres at the Devils, Minnesota at Washington. We got Jeff watching the hotelier. Friend of mine, he's the biggest Capitals fan I know. LA Kings at Arizona, and the Blues are at Vancouver as the Canucks are back home. They'll get a big ovation in Vancouver, I'm sure, at the Garage. So that's a big one tonight for the Canucks. College football, one game, and it's this town here, Florida Atlantic University. One of the few teams that Boca can call their own. The FAU Owls, under the guidance of Tom Sherman, at the Charlotte 49ers. And I wanted to talk to Moose about this when he joins us next hour, because we were in Charlotte in the 49ers stadium, and they got the FAU Owls there tonight, plus the CFL. It's just a tough time to get noticed in the sports world right now. If there's not a lot of sizzling intrigue. And for the CFL, the playoff games have that, but that's not till next weekend. Last minute of play in hour 1. Coming up in hour 2, we're going to be playing NFL Deal or No Deal. Groundbreaking broadcaster Daniela Ponticelli will join us to talk about not only her career so far, but where she's moving. Last weekend's Rough Riders radio broadcast was her last. She's moving on, but I'm not sure that she said where she's going. Maybe she'll drop that news. What do you think? Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, yes, the price of admission buys license to act like a jackass. Good! Then I'm going to the right place. Jason in Red Deer says, Bedard's nothing big. Hey, Serena? Listen, she's going to address that on the latest Cats and Bolts podcast, which drops this afternoon. We'll be right back.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ryan McCarthy, watching in upstate New York, says, why does Saskatchewan have the best town names? Paradise Hill, Moose Jaw. Well, he says Flin Flon, and that's actually Manitoba. And frankly, I'm partial to Medicine Hat.
How about that?
I also learn something every day. We learned today that Flin Flon, Manitoba stands for Flint Tibeti Floniton, a fictional character from a 1905 novel.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. And welcome inside Hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. We're live across Canada on the Game Plus television network, on the air in 31 U.S. states, also on Game Plus, and then on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. Listen up, Atlanta, because we're going to be talking about key radio here in a few moments. Big one for the Falcons this weekend as they're in Tennessee. Let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont. He's still sipping the coffee. Do you travel with, when you're in a hotel room, Moose, do you travel with coffee pods? How many coffee pods have you gone through today so far?
This is only my second one. I'll probably go through 3 a day. I limit it to 3 a day.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Well, doctor says you're only allowed to have 1 cup of coffee. 1 cup of coffee. Okay, no problem. Here's my cup. It's the size of my head.
Yeah, this thing is tiny.
Yeah, exactly. We got Deal or No Deal NFL coming up. I want to have fun. I want to let the reins out. I want to tell a few stories here in Hour 2. Daniela Ponticelli coming up as well. I don't know where to begin other than he's talking about Connor Bedard. He's at Vegas. And I think the rest of the Chicago Blackhawks are there too, but it's Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks at Vegas in a day game today out there. And when I talk about having fun here, Moose, Jason in Red Deer from the Puck and Pigskin podcast, who I know you were on his show the other day. He wrote in and with some comment about Serena's thoughts about Connor Bedard and that he's not all that. And I just want to clarify something on her behalf, because she's busy right now, or I'd bring her on to talk about it herself. She addressed it, her thoughts on Connor Bedard, in this week's Cats and Bolts podcast, which drops this afternoon from Podcast Junkie Studio in downtown Boca. She said, yes, when Connor Bedard got benched in the World Juniors, 2022 World Juniors? Yeah. In Edmonton, she said he was underwhelming, and she's like, that stuck with me forever. I'm not saying he's underwhelming now, but he was then, and that stuck with me. That's not how I feel. And I was like, well, sister, welcome to the media world again. You've had a 20-year gap in between the last time you were in it, but here we are, where one little thing out of your mouth, people will not let go and will not forget. And she's okay with it, but she's learning to live with it. And again, the Cats and Bolts podcast drops this afternoon because it's taken me 2 years to realize this. The people in South Florida don't want the CFL talk, and the people in Canada aren't necessarily down with the Panthers, Lightning, and Dolphins talk. I get it, but what am I supposed to do? So we started the Panthers and Lightning podcast, and it's going over gangbusters. And this Sunday, the Dolphins are home to the New England Patriots, and I'm going to the game in a suite. And this is where it's important, where that I'm on the radio in Atlanta with you every day, WQEE. Remember what I tell you last year, Moose? I got introduced to all these rich guys, and they said, this is Rod. He's got a radio show in Atlanta. And I'm like, yeah, guess I do. I guess I do. But having said that, we're still going to talk about the Canadian Football League because it's a Football Friday and it's in my DNA, and I love it so much. So for the Oilers fans and the Flames fans that have come here to cry and whine today about your teams, I get it. But maybe just take your brain out, put the crying towel away, and let's have a little fun with storytelling because that's what we do every day here on the RP show. What do you think, Moose? What do you think about everything?
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. And, you know, Serena is learning that, right? I'm a big believer, and I think you are a little bit too. Like, we live in a different world than we did yesterday. And so I can make a new opinion today based on new information and things that have happened. Doesn't mean people are going to remember or forget about what you said yesterday. They're going to hold you to it yesterday. So you may evolve your opinion, but you got to be okay being held to maybe what you said yesterday.
Well, listen, we're going to get to the sports talk, believe me, and this is kind of that, but this is important, I think, for everybody to know, including the 1.4 million new viewers that we have now tuned in on Shaw, and we haven't forgotten all those watching on TELUS and all those in Eastern Canada. But you got to understand something. Minor hockey team went into the overtime hockey lanes in Calgary yesterday. I don't know if you saw the video. I put it on our story, or maybe it was my own personal story. They all crowded around the lane that says Rod Pedersen Show in Calgary over the net, and they went on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Rod Pedersen, the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They filmed it and sent it, and I put it on my story, but this is what I've realized after 2 years of trying. It's a good legacy to have, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 20 years, but it was 5 years ago that I left. And I can't retire on that. I still got a lot of years of working. And that doesn't do me any good. So I tried for a long time to cover the Flames and go to the Stamps games. But in Canada, I'll always be known as the Rider guy, and that's awesome. But that didn't help me today in South Florida doing this show, nor Atlanta. You get it. I think you get it, right? We can be more things, but I can't be the voice of the Riders for the rest of my life. I can't. I'd go broke. I'd go out of business. So trust me, I would. So Leanne writes in and says, my brother has lived in the States for 25 years. He got named the Canuck by American buddies. Now it's stuck and it's shortened to Nuck. Thank you, Leanne. What we were pointing out was that with my club that I was with last night, they started calling me Canada. And I'm like, I'll take it. I've been called far worse. That's their way of because I'm the only Canadian in the club, and I'm quite proud of that. And it's a wonderful segue here. We chatted with Jim Barker last hour. These games in the Canadian Football League this weekend, I don't care what the players say and what the media says and the teams, because they're trying to sell tickets, they're trying to get you to watch, but they are meaningless games. And I really want your take on this, Darren. The American viewers that don't know need to know that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the Dallas Cowboys of Canada. They were long before I showed up, and they will be long after I'm gone. So what's moving the needle is who will be the next head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because they fired Craig Dickinson less than a week ago. And that's one other thing I wanted to talk about. I feel bad for Dickie. We've been close friends. I don't know what he's going to do next. If he wants to coach somewhere, he will. I've talked to friends of Craig. I haven't talked to Craig, but he doesn't need to work. He doesn't need to work. He's made a lot of money over a long period of time, and some have said he might just retire to the mountains of Montana and be a ski bunny, which is kind of what he wants to do anyways. You know, he could do that. Probably won't, but he could. And some have said, Nick Saragella and Esteban, they're like, the body's not even cold yet, and you guys are talking about the next coach. I'm like, get over it. We've all been fired. Nick, you've been fired. I've been fired. Darren's been fired. We got to get over that. This is the world. This is sports. We're going to talk about the next job. Sorry. How'd you think it felt when I got fired? And by supper time, they're talking about who's going to be the next guy. It's the way that it is. That's for Craig to deal with, not us. And so Barker says it's got to be Scott Milanovich. And I do not agree. I think it has to be Henry Burris. It has to be Henry Burris. And I don't think I can be convinced otherwise. What do you think?
Okay. I think there's some, opportunity. Like, I don't think it has to just be one guy. Like, I think there's multiple qualified.
It has to be one head coach.
No, but yes, but I don't, like, I'm not stuck on one guy or the other. Like, I think there's a lot of winning formulas there when it comes to who's the next coach of the Riders.
What are we talking about? The next coach of the Riders?
Get out of here, Dunk. Oh, yeah.
Get out of here.
He can't hear me, though.
Hot damn!
He just broke in.
I got you. Like he didn't have a key to your room.
He didn't.
Yep.
He just got into town. Anyways, I'm not stuck on it needing to be one guy or the other. I think there's multiple qualified candidates. And, as we see who, ends up on a short list and who gets interviewed and we go down this process, I think, both Scott or Henry would be a good fit. We talked about Henry and, like, the universe things, him coming back finally. There's something really strong there that leads me that way, but I like Scott too.
I'm just screenshotting the picture of Dunk busting in. Is he still in your room?
He is.
Is he? Okay, I'm just screenshotting it. No, listen.
I don't know how he got a key.
So you're saying you would... that's what's totally got you wigged out. What has you, like, would you interview both? Like, I would literally, here's the thing.
I would.
I've hired people before. I've fired people before, and it's worked fine. I'm still in business for myself, and it's going well, and, nothing to do with this show at all. Because my thing was always, when I want somebody, I'll go get him or her, because I've had to fire women before, too, that didn't work out. I fired men. I know who I want. I went and hired them. And some are still working for me, and some, it didn't work out the way that I thought that it would. But I did not go through this long pomp and circumstance. It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way, 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Just before Dunk leaves the room, I'm afraid he's going to leave before I have a chance to ask him his question. Who would he hire as coach of the Riders if he was the GM? Real quick ask.
Who would you hire as coach of the Riders if you're the GM? He says he's not quite there yet. No, you get one answer today.
Yeah. There's a gun to his head. Tell him there's a gun to his head.
Corey Mace.
Corey Mace. Okay. Fair. Let me write this down. Now, I would not go through the pomp and the circumstance, pageantry. Jeff Gordon in Regina watching. He says, interview everyone. You never know who will shine or not. Al, Jeremy and I are, O'Day, are close to the same age. Our first season with the Rough Riders was the same, 1999. So my point being, Jeremy's known Henry Burris for as long as me. And I don't know who O'Day's going to hire at all. I don't know. I've got people internally saying it has to be Henry Burris. I've got people internally saying it has to be Scott Milanovich. So O'Day's going to be the one that has to break the tie. But you get where it's in my commentary today, which you probably haven't had time to read. But Henry Burris is alum. He's played there. He gets the province. He gets the fans. Milanovich, to me, it's just another job. Scott Milanovich would be fine. He's a good guy. Scott and I are the exact same age. You couldn't go wrong with hiring Scott Milanovich. But he's probably not going to be going to banquets in the offseason. He's not going to be promoting the brand. He's going to be another Chris Jones. Whereas Henry, there's a little more. And don't get at me that Henry's never been a head coach. Henry's never been this. Ken Austin hadn't been either. And he worked out just fine. What would be the reason not to hire Henry?
Yeah, no, I know, right? It would only be that somebody else knocks your socks off even more. You need to try and hire the guy that you want the most. Scott's interesting because I think, we see what's happening in the league, but we also see what's happening south of the border in the National Football League. Andy Reid in Kansas City, and Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, John McVay in LA, these young offensive minds. Now, Andy Reid's not young, but these offensive minds, that would be a little bit of an appeal for a Milanovich. But I'm with you, there's nothing, I'm just going to put Jason Shivers out there, for example. You mentioned that he's going to, interview. If they don't actually look at him or an assistant or anybody else and want to hire him, don't interview him. If you don't think at all that you might want to hire somebody, don't interview them. Only interview people who you would be comfortable being the next coach of your team.
I didn't know that this was a term, and maybe you did. They're writing it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, wanderers. Did you know that was a term, wanderers? Not staying in one place too long, like the littlest hobo? I've never heard a term for it, but I'm glad that there is a name for it, if that's a thing. I've never heard that before. Randolph in Toronto says, Chris Jones is the ultimate wanderer. Well, so what? Jeff the Stamps fan says Ken Austin's a wanderer too. Yeah, he breezed in, won a Grey Cup, and left. Would you rather have a guy that show up for 1 year and win, or a guy that's going to be there for 20 years because nobody else wants him and you don't win? I know what I would take. Who cares if they're a wanderer? Who cares at all? This is the kind of show that Arlen Bruce III can get down on. A Football Friday. Arlen writes in and he says, Ryan Phillips would be a great candidate as well as Paul LaPolice. I feel bad for Paul LaPolice because it didn't work for him in Winnipeg. Ottawa was supposed to be his redemption story. It didn't work for him there. And if you bring his name up, because Lapo's like family to me, but you bring his name up to anybody in CFL circles and they're like, nope. And anybody that I've talked to, and certainly the fans, I'm not sure that it's right because it hasn't exactly worked for Bob Dice in Ottawa either. I'm not sure Lapo's the problem, but people think that it is. Talk about things that are hard to shake. And I don't know where he gets his next opportunity.
I know. I kind of thought maybe an outside shot, like, does he end up back in Saskatchewan as an offensive coordinator? I think that's probably going to be the opportunity. And as we've kind of thought, maybe that's where, his wheelhouse is, running the offense, lean into that, and maybe the head coach thing is not happening, at least for the next little while.
Henry Burris solves it all. And listen, in some cases of the wanderer thing, I like the term. I like it. I've never heard it before, but I get it. A lot of guys don't want to be wanderers. It just happened that way. Henry did not want to leave Saskatchewan. Henry did not want to leave Calgary. Pretty damn sure Henry didn't want to leave Jacksonville. And every situation's different. I mean, Henry tried the TV thing. It wasn't for him. It's not for a lot of guys. I'll tell you what, those guys on the TSN panel, you ask them all, they'd rather be coaching. They would. That is a fact, Jack. Or Jim Barker would rather be in management. But things happen. We don't, wouldn't it be nice if we could all write our own script, Bob? Doesn't work that way. One more, and then we'll break. Boy, we're really getting into it now. Randolph in Toronto writes in, he says, how about Richie Hall as a head coach? Well, it's head and shoulders. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Whether it's right or wrong, Richie Hall got that opportunity in Edmonton. It didn't go well, and he was deemed not to be head coaching material. George Cortez, I love him. You know that, Darren. You got to meet him in Houston. Got the one opportunity in Hamilton. It didn't go well. Was deemed not head coaching material. You know, and I think that's what's been deemed with Paul LaPolice. I don't believe it, but that's the take out there. Leanne says, Henry's a breath of fresh air. He had thick skin as a player, has thick skin now, young and enthusiasm every day. To be honest, his skin wasn't as thick as you think. A lot of that stuff bothered him, but it also fueled him. And it might still, to use the phrase of my American friends, all y'all dumping on Henry now, saying he's not ready, he's not this, he's not that. All that's doing is motivating him. And by the way, he wants it. He's got on record as saying it. So we'll continue all this when we come back. We're going to play NFL Deal or No Deal and Daniela Ponticelli coming up too. It's a fantastic Football Friday here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. Football Friday continues. Don't mind the crown. I do want to tell you that Manscaped has done it again, guys. That's right. Introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new. Not for your junk. It's for up top. And like every Manscaped product, tons of thoughts gone into it. Sleek, compact, charges by USB. We all have problems fitting our razors into our shaving kits, right, for the road trips. Not anymore. Not with a Handyman. It's the size of your cellular phone, pretty much. You can order yours now at manscaped.com, and with the promo code TheRPShow, you'll get 20% off and free shipping. I'm not joking. VRP shows the promo code at manscaped.com. Let's bring the Moose in. And Moose, shame on me. I was shaving this morning, and for the first time, what have I had this thing? 2 months. I finally have to charge it. It's gone 2 months without having to charge it, and I was holding it. I'm like, it's actually, listen, it's the size of my cell phone, but I have an iPhone mini. It's like the old school. Yeah. Do you have the big one that's like the size of a small iPad? You do, don't you? Or do you have a small one like me?
It's a bigger one. No, I have a bigger one, yeah. And some days it feels like it might be like one of those iPad minis, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, mine's so it's the size of my iPhone mini. I'm not joking. So then for the first time I've had to charge it. How about that? So I was sitting there this morning. I was looking at my array of Manscaped tools. I'm like, I feel like a flipping gardener. I got the Handyman. I got the Weed Whacker. I got it all. 3 utensils from Manscaped. I literally think they're the greatest, and I would not steer you wrong. Look at me. Does this not look like a guy that's a serious guy?
Very.
I would not steer you wrong. Yeah, go to manscaped.com. The Weed Whacker, the Handyman, and the Lawnmower. That's what it is, the one with a headlight on it. I got all 3. All right. You ready to play Deal or No Deal, man?
I'm ready.
You're always down to talk some National Football League. Here we go. Deal or No Deal, NFL edition for our exclusive betting partner, BetRegal. Do us a favor. Go to betregal.ca this weekend. Join and start playing. We don't ask you to do much. Please do that and support our sponsors. So, Darren, we start with Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. The Jaguars are favorites on the road, 2.5 at BetRegal. Deal or No Deal?
I like Jacksonville, but there's a saying about home dogs. I don't love cliches like that, but I like Mike Tomlin at home, especially if you're giving him points. So I'll take no deal. I'll take Pittsburgh.
I'm taking the deal. Los Angeles Rams at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 6 at home. Deal or no deal?
I'll take the deal. I think they've turned a corner.
It's a deal from me, dog. L.A. sweep. Coming off a bye. How about them Cowboys?
How about
Philadelphia at Washington? Another NFC Eastern showdown for the Commanders. Eagles favored by 7 in Washington. Deal or no deal?
Division games are always close, but closer than you think. But I'll take Philly. So you got a deal for me. Their defense got better with the addition of Kevin Byard this week.
×2. The Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings are favored by 1.5 on the road. Deal or no deal?
I'll take that deal. I didn't like what I saw to Green Bay last week, and I liked what I saw to Kirk Cousins on Monday night.
It's a deal for me, and the Packers have lost 3 in a row. You can make it 4. Most sneaky game of the week. Houston at Carolina. The top 2 picks of last year's draft going at it. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Texans favored by 3.5 on the road at Carolina. Deal or no deal?
This is tough. I think C.J. Stroud's been better, but I'll take Carolina for the upset.
No deal from Moose. I will take the deal. I'm a believer in C.J. Stroud. How about that? And the Panthers are done. There goes your ride, Moose. Can you hear it? New Orleans at Indianapolis. The Saints are favored by 1 point. Deal or no deal?
I will take the deal. I'll take the deal.
For me, that's a tough one. 1 point. I'm going to take the deal as well. Colts are done. The game that I'll be at, the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 9.5. It's the most whopping point spread of the week. Dolphins by 9.5 over the Patriots. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I think the Dolphins will win, but this is a division game, and Mac Jones looked better last week, so I think they'll cover.
Finns are coming off a big loss, an embarrassing loss at Philadelphia last week. They're going to wax Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I can't wait. It's a deal from me. The Battle of New York at the Meadowlands. New York Jets at New York Giants. The Gotham Green are favored by 3. Deal or no deal?
Deal. And hard to believe they'll be above 500 after this week.
I'm going for lunch with Chris Sanford tomorrow. I'm saying no deal. I'm going to take the Giants to win outright. And T-Mobile, Tyrod Taylor is the first black quarterback to win a game at quarterback for the Giants in 15 years. That's the way they say it up there. And I'm like, well, no kidding. Eli Manning's been the quarterback for 2 decades. Atlanta Falcons at the Tennessee Titans. The Falcons are favored by 2.5 on the road. Deal or no deal?
No deal for me. Lots of really bad things happening in Tennessee, but they'll be in the throwbacks, and I think that's enough to give them a win.
It's a deal for me, no deal for Moose. They're saying rebuilding time in Tennessee. Darren doesn't want to hear it, but that's what I'm hearing. Cleveland at Seattle. The Seahawks are favored by 3.5 at Lumen Field. Deal or no deal?
You got a deal for me on that one. I'll take the Seahawks.
Yeah, me too. We got to speed it up now. That's on me. Baltimore at Arizona. The Ravens are favored by 9.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Yeah, Cardinals are a grease fire. Kansas City at Denver. The Chiefs are favored by 7. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I think it'll be closer than that, but I don't think there's any threat of the Chiefs losing.
Wow. I'll take the deal. I think they'll win by 14. Cincinnati at San Francisco. Our viewers seem to think that's the game of the week. The 49ers are favored by 4. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I saw the line at Bet Regal at 5.5 earlier in the week. We don't know what Brock Purdy's status is for sure, so I'll take Cincy to cover.
Same here. No deal for both of us. Chicago Bears at Los Angeles Chargers. L.A. favored by 8.5. They say if the Chargers lose, Brandon Staley is going to be fired, the head coach. Deal or no deal? Chargers by 8.5 over the Bears.
No deal. They just don't look right, but no deal. They'll cover.
Same here. And Monday Night Football, Las Vegas Raiders at Detroit Lions. The Lions favored by 8. Deal or no deal?
Deal. It's a get-right game for Dan Campbell's Lions.
I'm with you. Sign up at betregal.ca, our exclusive betting partner and official. Get those memberships going, everybody, and have some fun this weekend with BetRegal. And please bet responsibly. I'm taking this off because I'm dying of heat. Woo-hoo! You've been down here, Moose. You know what it's like. I get such a kick out of this. I wish when you were here it was fast. How long were you here? 5 days? Was it even that long?
Yeah, about that.
Well, we didn't really have a chance to do my normal things. I would have loved to have introduced you to my guys in my club. But they referred to the Detroit Lions last night as the kittens. Like, the kittens. Yeah, it's all NFL all the time. With this, not just with my gang, but with everybody down here. And I can't wait to get to the Patriots and the Dolphins. I'm going with my guys, and we're going to be sitting in a suite. And I'm going to be, you just wait. Follow my social media this weekend. It's going to be big fun. I think very entertaining to follow. But I didn't really get your take because we didn't have time earlier on the NHL suspending Shane Pinto of the Ottawa Senators 41 games. It's been revealed, if it's true, that he didn't even bet on NHL games. He just wagered on sports games, and for that reason, he's been suspended for 41 games. And I'm sitting there listening to the coverage, and a lot of what I listened to was from NHL radio, and Scott Laughlin was going off, and Scott said, longtime personal friend of mine. But I thought, as a guy that knows the ins and outs of the addiction industry and the sin industries, alcohol, drugs, betting, they're all lopped in there. They are. We don't know the ins and outs of what went on with Shane Pinto. We don't know if he'd been warned. We don't know what black and white rules he broke. We don't know how long the investigation had been going on. We don't know if he admitted to it or not. There's a whole lot of things that we don't know. Do you think we'll ever know all the details around this?
We won't, probably. But there's a lot of, why can't he bet on baseball? He's not playing baseball, Why can't Austin Matthews go out and not get harassed at the grocery store? Why do we need to know what's up with his, COVID diagnosis? Why do we got to know who Connor McDavid's dating, right? Well, when you get something, you have to give up something, right? And it's just the way it is for a pro athlete. When you're a pro athlete, you don't get to eat cheesecake for dessert, and you don't get to gamble on sports, period. There doesn't need to be an answer. There don't need to be a reason. You can whine that it's not fair, but it's just the way that it is. You can't do it. We can't blur those lines. We can't, have any sort of, possibility of, the sanctity of betting and anything potentially scandalous going on. So you have to do the time. And this is the first ever suspension for something like this in the National Hockey League. And they've decided to make it a big one to send a message. And it's unfortunate Shane Pinto's going to deal, a 41-game suspension, but he's the first one to do this and get caught. So he's got to serve the biggest time.
Yeah, I don't know what Jeff the Stamps fan, he writes in, Jeff the Stamps fan says, that's true, Rod. I don't know specifically what he's referring to. I think it's just to my monologue of there's a whole lot of information here that we don't know. I'm guessing that's what you're saying. You took a little bit of a different stance than I thought you would, but a very eloquent one in that you are held not necessarily to a higher standard, but to a different standard when you're a pro athlete. I mean, I look at Pete Rose. Honestly, he might have been able to be in the Hall of Fame if he'd admitted to gambling on Reds games. But he wouldn't admit it. And maybe Shane Pinto wouldn't admit it. It's like, we have proof that you did it. Nope. Dude, I deal with it all the time. All the time. So we don't know the ins and outs of this. And to tar and feather the NHL, because I'm not saying they're perfect. Like I said, first you could have pride tape, then you couldn't have pride tape. Now you can again. They don't know what they're doing either. But in this case, I got to side with the NHL. Moose, we're done. Stick around for the Daniela interview. She's next. She's a close friend of yours. That'll be great. And have a great weekend and break a leg tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the football game Sunday.
Thank you. Groundbreaking broadcaster Daniela Ponticelli joins us next on a Football Friday. We are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to a Football Friday, everybody. We've got a lot of great comments that have come in from the audience. We're going to pump the brakes on those, and we'll get to them next segment in Overtime Audience Takeover, as well as a sports update, because then those comments have to do with Shane Pinto. So thank you, guys and gals. But speaking of gals, let's bring in Daniela Ponticelli now, and I'm very happy for her. She made the announcement that last weekend's Rough Riders broadcast would be her final one. She's moving on like Hank Snow, but I don't think you said where. Did you? I can't hear. Is that a me problem or a her problem?
Okay, 1 second.
1 second, Clark said. Now we got you now. Let's do it all over again. Yes, we do.
Perfect.
It was an us problem. What? I don't think you said where you're going, did you?
TV for you. I did not.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give too much more other than I am headed to the GTA. I'm headed east. To the Greater Toronto area, yes, and I'm working on some exciting opportunities. But Rod, you know this business, so there's some conversations happening and things like that. But when the decision comes out, when things are finalized or a little bit more finalized, I can certainly share that more publicly. But right now, I'm just embracing this time. And just a slight thing, not my final Rider broadcast. There will be some pre-game shows happening before the West Semi and the West Final as well.
Okay, sorry. Well, yeah, Rough Riders won't be playing in it, but hey.
No,
you know,
so it really was the end of
yeah.
all of that and so abrupt, yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, semantics, whatever. But listen, you were on our show for the first time a couple of years ago, one of our first shows at Grey Eagle. And that's, you and I had met before that. It's the first time we'd ever been on the air together, though. What a 2 years in between. For those that don't know, take our viewers and audience, radio audience through that, yeah.
I'll try to give a quick summary here, Rod. But yes, when I met you there, I was in town for University of Saskatchewan women's hockey. So the Huskies were playing in Calgary, and that was still the regular season that year, 21 to 22. They ended up going to nationals, and it was just an incredible year because it was the first time I had called hockey, truly, and I was doing radio calls for it. Loved it. And then it grew from there. I got into the football side of things in the summer just to cover off those months, because you go from hockey to not having any hockey, and then football, and it was just great. I loved it. Got into doing the pre and post game shows for the Rider radio broadcasts and doing home sidelines. So that was a really incredible experience as well. Team did not go off into the playoffs last year either. So I'm back into Huskies women's hockey. They have a great season, but they don't make it to nationals. I'm thinking this is it. This is the last time I'm going to get to call, hockey for a while. And that was not the case. Because they didn't make it in, I was actually able to go and call at the Nationals in Montreal last year. And then from there, IIHF women's hockey in Brampton when they held the championship there. And it's just been a whirlwind. Para hockey as well with Darren DuPont, who is, as you said, a good friend. Yeah. And it's just been such an incredible ride. I went back to doing football. And so now it's just a matter of kind of finding my next steps. But like I said, things are happening. The move is a personal and professional decision. So it's not just going to benefit the career side of things. It's also another step in my personal life too.
Well, excited for you. I hope you seem you smile every time you bring it up. So you're obviously happy with this latest move.
Yes, and it's always bittersweet. Saskatchewan has been my adopted home for so long. I've been there for the better part of a decade, and it's where I really, really fell in love with the CFL. I always liked the CFL. I always enjoyed it, but there's nothing like being in Rider Nation, in the heartland of football. It really sucks you in. You can't really deny it. If you love the sport, it just becomes that much more ingrained. And to get a chance to work with the team, I'm still working on a podcast with the Riders called Air It Out. So that's continuing at least for the next little bit. We're going to wrap up season 1 soon. And it's just been an amazing experience, even with the outcomes not being what we wanted to be. From the working side of things, it's been amazing.
Well, that's 2 straight seasons out of the playoffs, and we don't need to get into all that, but I will say this. I've done those jobs that you've been doing, and they ain't easy. And that call-in show, I was doing it in the 90s, which is very similar to where the Rough Riders are now. Can you just, on a personal level, say what it's like to field those calls from a very angry fan base? Just so you know, it only goes up from here. I've never done anything more difficult in my career than that.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, Rod. That I appreciate that. I think it's such a bittersweet thing for me, because as much as it can be an interesting mix, you're just in a room and you get, okay, who's up next, right? You don't really know what you're going to hear. You don't know what to expect. You kind of get a pulse on the feel and the tone by a couple calls in. But I genuinely love it, because I love talking to people. I love hearing from people, even if they're mad, even if a lot of them were more sad, honestly, by the end of the season. It came down to emotion and disappointment and sadness. And that was pretty hard to hear, because sports should be that escape, right? It should be that thing that you enjoy, that you're entertained by, that maybe you're disappointed in when your team doesn't win. But when it comes to sadness and just overwhelming disappointment, right? That part is a bit heart-wrenching, but I really genuinely enjoyed it because I got to work with people like Wes Cates, the Professor Don Hugh. We have a great team, and they're just such a good crew. And we're there until 2 in the morning. I think 2:30 in the morning was our latest ending the one night, and that one was hard, because you're getting a little sleepy and everyone's upset, and you're kind of upset too, right? Like, it's hard to not feed off that emotion of what people are feeling. So it was a great ride, and that part I'm sad to see go, for sure.
What about calling the Regina Pats game on television and being the first female TV broadcaster in dub history?
Oh my goodness. That's always, it's hard sometimes to find the words for it, because it is both very humbling and also unbelievable. And I want to give a very special shout out to Serena, of course, because she was the first woman to call play-by-play in the WHL. And she did it on radio, and she did it in the early 2000s, when it was even more shocking to have a woman behind the mic in that space. So, I stand on the shoulders of people like her, right? It is sometimes mind-blowing to think there's still opportunities for firsts, even in 2023. So if I get a chance to get that, I just want to do my best, and I want to kick the door even wider for everybody else, right? For everyone else that's coming up and wants to believe and wants to do the work to get there. And I've just been so grateful to be trusted with these opportunities. And it's pretty incredible. And the WHL calls, there were only ever going to be a few of those because I knew about my upcoming move prior to it. So it's also just really special that I get to do a few more before I leave. And the next one will be next Wednesday coming up against the Prince Albert Raiders. So it'll be a good one.
Ah, that's pretty exciting. And it's interesting that you say that about not or being trusted with it because I don't know you that well, but I knew that wasn't any big gamble putting you on the air there. I guess it might be with some, but kudos to you that you never dropped the ball. But I didn't think you would. Clearly, there's some sense of confidence that you have. I mean, you and I have talked about your growing up in Winnipeg as an immigrant child. I would think this is child's play compared to what you've been through and your family.
Yeah, it's amazing how life gives you opportunities to grow and move through things. I've certainly done harder things in life, if you want to compare, apples and oranges. But truthfully, it does take courage to show up every day and to do something where you're going to make mistakes and be okay with that, and do it in such a public space. I've just been so fortunate that Saskatchewan. It's just been such an incredible place. I'm going to tell you something that might seem a little strange, but I left Saskatchewan after working there for 2 years to take a job opportunity back in Winnipeg. It was also for 2 years, and then I went back to Saskatchewan. And a friend of mine got me a chakra reading. I don't know if you've ever done one of those, Rod, but
Yes.
I went to it. I thought this was really interesting, and one of the things that came up because I'd never felt like I was done in Saskatchewan, and I sort of got this message that Saskatchewan is going to be absolutely fertile soil for your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, even those you don't know yet. And I left that, and I went, okay, didn't know what that meant, didn't know if I would be back, and sure enough, I think back to that moment, I'm like, wow, okay, because that's exactly what it's been. It's been supportive. It's been hard too. I mean, not everyone is going to welcome you with open arms, but that's this industry, right? And it's about navigating all of that and continuing to have, as you said, some confidence. But there are times when you don't always feel that confident, and you just got to do it anyway. You got to move through it, and you know that.
Of course. Well, I've never been afraid to take chances and don't really care what people think. And I knew that it would go well in Saskatchewan because I know the kind of people that are Rider fans and the people you'd be broadcasting to, and I knew that they would be classy to you, and they have been. And by the way, you asked if I had one of those readings. I have several, and the very first one I said, run to what feels good. Run away from what feels bad. And I was like, can I write that down? So I would suggest to everybody it's very, very worthwhile to spend some time and money on those. Hey, Daniela, I know you're busy. We will let you go, but kudos again to everything, and thanks for the time, and please keep in touch.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much, Rod. Appreciate it.
All right, groundbreaking broadcaster Daniela Ponticelli. When we come back, overtime. That's all I got to say. You know what it is. When we return on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
My name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's overtime. Glad to have you aboard. Wrapping up the week, wrapping up a wonderful Football Friday. And as you know, Football Friday is brought to you, well, overtime specifically is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's a perfect fit, isn't it? Where skill and fun collide, where it's an amusement park for hockey enthusiasts. Indulge me for 1 second, and then I'll get into what all my other comments are that are coming in from everybody. But Overtime Hockey Lane, just go check it out. It's wintertime there, as you know. What else are you going to do? Book a lane. This weekend, do it, but call ahead of time if you don't mind. Ask for Randy or Michelle at Overtime Hockey Lanes and tell me it wasn't the best fun that you've had that you can remember. That's all I got to say. Just a slap shot from the old Crossroads Flea Market, Overtime Hockey Lanes. There was an Okotoks 11U, U11 team go in there last night, and they all gathered around the net in the Rod Pedersen Show lane, and it's on my Instagram story at Rod Pedersen Official. They all said, "Voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders," all of these kids. And I'm like, sure. It's been 5 years. But and it's cool. It's great. I'm very proud of that. But I can't live the rest of my life on that if I expect to be on the air in other places forever. So thanks for that. But that's why we do what we do and are doing it here. And it's all cool. But it is good to remember the past in a way, too. Rhonda writing in from Swift Current regarding the last interview with Daniela Ponticelli, where she said she stands on the shoulders of Serena, who was the first ever major junior female broadcaster in Canada. Rhonda says, "I played ladies ball with Serena. We call her Nick. I pitched. She was my catcher. Great ball player. Lots of laughs with her. Call her Nick next time and watch her reaction." Oh, I will be in about 4 minutes' time when we wrap this up. But as Daniela said, Serena did this play-by-play in a time where it was completely unheard of. And that's part of the reason why she didn't do it any longer. She got so much heat. And now's not the time to get into it. But she's like, this isn't as much fun as I thought it would be. People are losers. It wasn't as accepted then as it has been now, or even applauded or celebrated. So that's why we're very happy to have her back on the air and in the business now. Everything happens for a reason. Regarding those coaching rumors, Brian in Hudson Bay, Sask, the Moose capital, says, how about Kerry Joseph? I heard rumors he would or could be interested. I would say, how about him? Not that I don't think he'd be great, but I would be shocked if he'd want to leave the Seattle Seahawks. Randy in Regina writes in and says, Scott Milanovich, correct me if I'm wrong, did he not sign with the Edmonton Eskimos a number of years ago? At the time, that included a signing bonus that he didn't even take to the field. Signed with an NFL team and bolted the USA with the money. Caller Randy from Regina. Was this fair to the Edmonton team? Let me ask you this, Randy. Devil's advocate. Yes, Scott Milanovich did it during the COVID season. But Darian Durant, I bet you love him. He signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, took a $70,000 bonus, and then never stepped on the field. How'd you feel about that? It's not totally the same thing, but it's not totally different either. And in the case of Milanovich, it's not his fault they canceled the season during COVID. So I don't blame Milanovich for that. But with last minute of play in the RP show today, while I don't have any issue with Milanovich doing that at all, I have far more issue with the Durant thing. But it's being brought up a lot. But you know what? That's where it's an interesting time in sports. Everybody's getting their opinions out, and we're getting all kinds of opinions. Henry's not ready. Milanovich stole $500,000 from Edmonton. This and that guy, and this guy and that gal. Like, here we are. So it's going to take a very strong organization to cut through it all and make the best hire and put their franchise on the right direction. I'm saying it again. Henry Burris. But they didn't ask, and I'm pretty sure they won't. Thank you to Jim Barker. Thank you to Daniela Ponticelli. Most of all, thank you, the viewers and listeners. Please support our sponsors. We'll see you back here Monday at noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?